listen to the questions, reply to the questions on the go, and get the personality test results from the chatbot after the chatbot explains the questions and scores the answers. And more importantly than that, it's a way to recruit patients to form a group revolving around a special type of problem. In other words, let's say that I have an anxiety problem and I share my concerns and my problems so other people that are have a similar problems can join it to to create a group therapy on the go about it for common problems. Another PTSD, for example, for veterans that are coming from a war situation and are being disturbed all the time by certain scenes from the war and they are anxious about it. Yeah, it will start with a video conference, but it will be based on voice. So if somebody doesn't want to show up their face, they can have either an avatar or a silhouette of their face, or simply not put their face at all and just participate with their voice. And the most important element of it is financial sustainability. The point being that the therapy, professional therapy today is just too expensive. At $100 per hour or $300 per hour, it is just prohibitively expensive for some people, and also the accessibility is the hassle is just too big. So to do near free therapy, group therapy will enable to charge only $1. But if you have a popular topic such as PTSD, where you can have 1,000 participants paying $1, then the therapist gets $1,000, which is a lot more than you normally would charge for a one-on-one therapy, while the patients or the prospective patients pays only $1. Also, the integration across multiple professions. So, at the top of the hierarchy or the top of the pyramid will be the psychiatrist that can dispense medication. Underneath them will be the psychologist. Okay, we'll wrap it up within 5 minutes. But at the top of the pyramid will be psychiatrists, underneath them will be psychologists, underneath them will be social workers, and finally the rest of the therapists of all stripes. So it will be multiple therapists on the provider side and multiple patients. That way, when you deal with a special issue that one class of therapists may be better than another, the relevant therapist can take over. For example, if it is about dispensing medication, the psychiatrist will be taking the lead. In contrast, if it is about social issues, the social worker may take the lead in the therapy and deal with social issues such as loneliness and other social problems. Instead of having one therapist, will be a panel of experts that includes a psychiatrist, a psychologist, a social worker, maybe a sex therapist, and a few other therapists, anti-drug addiction therapist, and a panel of experts like that, in which one therapist will take over whenever necessary. So, for example, for addiction problems, especially addiction to alcohol or addiction to drugs, the anti-addiction therapists will take over and then also work with groups such Alcoholics Anonymous, for example, for uh, addiction to alcohol. And so most of the time, the anti-addiction therapist will be leading the conversation, while the psychiatrist may be in the background listening but not participating. Then, when it gets to a point of discussing medication and prescription drugs, then the pharmacist and the psychiatrist may take the lead and discuss the possibilities of getting drugs to mitigate the alcoholic problem. Okay, so this will be the end of the session for today. Let's summarize what we have dealt with. We have dealt with a Google voice, a number, expiration, threat that Google Voice number will not expire within 30 days, and to comply with it, I made a call to 800 ChatGPT in which we discussed several issues, including DIP's smart city, a smart city that's dipped into by water due to a hurricane or natural disaster like floods and so on. And then the discussion about vid psych AI that will handle video conferencing, integrating a caller AI into a therapy session using a panel of experts that includes various therapy specialists such as psychiatrists, psychologists, social workers, and anti-addiction specialists in various other areas such as PTSD therapists and so on, and having a panel of therapists instead of an individual therapist taking the brunt and getting into areas which they may not have so much expertise. So this way, a school psychologist and social psychologist can participate, and whenever it has to do with the administrating school testing, for example, for children using the WICS intelligence test or other learning problems, the school psychologist can take over as opposed to working with the alcoholics, the addiction therapists, anti-addiction therapy especially can take over. And when it comes to discussing drugs and prescription medication, the psychiatrist can chime in. So, working as a group, both on the patient side and on the provider side, and in so doing, being able to fund it because instead of having to deal with one individual paying $200-300 an hour, we may have 100 individuals paying $1 an hour, which will make it very affordable and also sustainable for the therapist. So that concludes our session for today, and we will continue next time. Bye for now. In other words, let's say that when an anxiety problem